Good morning. I hope that you hear me well. Greetings, dear colleagues, members of the public, and candidates for position of Judge of the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Today, on 2nd March, the whole advisory group of experts met to conduct the interviews with the candidates for the position of a judge in the Constitutional Court of Ukraine. Our first candidate today is Mr. Ihor Bychkov, who served as a judge at the Bychkov District Court in Sumy and has been allowed to participate in the competition selection by the Council of Judges of Ukraine. Interview will be conducted according to Article 3, Paragraph 1, Point D of the methodology for assessing moral qualities and the level of competence in the field of law to clarify any doubts about high moral qualities of the candidate. I'm going to pass the floor now to the Secretary of the AGE, Mr. Romaniuk, to moderate the interview. Please, Mr. Romaniuk, the floor is yours.
Дякую, пане голово.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. As our chairman has said, there is the complete composition of the AGE. These are AGE Chairman Ales Zalar. He is present online. Physically, we have here in the hall Ms. Hanna Sukhotska, Ms. Maureen O'Connor, Ms. Natalia Kuznetsova, and Ms. Oksana Vasilchenko. AG deputy members are also in attendance, namely Thomas Griffith, Richard Barrett, Marek Zubik, Vasil Shakun, Volodymyr Kuzmenko, and myself, AG Secretary Yaroslav Romaniuk. I will briefly explain the regulatory framework and the procedure for conducting the interview. The interview is a mandatory stage of evaluating the candidates on the criterion of good moral character. The advisory group conducts interviews with candidates in accordance with the Article 7 interviews of the methodology, in particular to clarify any doubts regarding their good moral character. While processing materials on candidate Bychkov, the AGE forwarded him questions that required a written response, and the AGE had such responses. Please note that in accordance with the Article 7, Part 8 of the methodology, the candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the interview if the advisory group requested their provision earlier, or if the candidate did not provide such information and documents within the specified period, or if the candidate could provide them on their own initiative earlier, but didn't do it. However, the advisory group may make an exception if it determines that such an exception is justified. I also would like to inform that the interview is being recorded and streamed live on the AGE resources as well as the CCU website. I call upon the AGE members and the candidate to limit the use of sensitive data and limited access information on live air. Dear candidate, I would also like to draw your attention to the fact that the duration of the interview is approximately 1 hour. The time limit for the response to a question is up to 3 minutes, so please be concise. At the end of the interview, you may make a short closing statement up to 5 minutes. You are kindly requested to follow these rules and provide concise answers on the merits of the questions asked. I would also like to remind you that the advisory group informed you in advance that the existence of doubts following the evaluation of compliance with the criterion of good moral character, and the purpose of this interview is inter alia to disprove any doubts about your good moral character. So, colleagues, we are starting. Please pose your questions to Mr. Bychkov. Dear colleagues, if you permit me, I would like Mr. Ihor Gennadievich to draw your attention that there are headsets with the simultaneous interpretation. If you permit me, I will ask the question in Ukrainian. Ihor Gennadievich, we have studied the documents that you have presented, and you said that during August and September, you had some simultaneous activity. You are holding a degree of PhD in law, and you began full-time studies for master's degree in economics in Sumy State Pedagogical University named after Makarenko. How are these two processes are correlated, together with submission your candidacy to the CCU? In general, these were not simultaneous processes. Please switch on your mic. Generally, these were not simultaneous processes because I submitted my documents to the university in August, and the documents for the CCU position I presented in October. I don't see any obstacles to take part in the selection procedure for CCU position and continuation of my studies at the university. Moreover, I have also presented my documents and application for appeal court judge position. I think that this can be correlated and doesn't create any obstacle. Mr. Ihor Gennadievich, but you chose to study full-time. Tell us, please, how was your individual study plan correlated with your workload as Kovpakivsky District Court? At first, I would like to say that full-time study previously intended mandatory presence during lectures and seminars, but Sumska Oblast has air alert 5 up to 10 times every day. That's why even full-time education implies usage of some distant technologies. Merely never, the students with whom I study in one group, half of them are not in Ukraine. Partially I know the people who serve in armed forces of Ukraine. I live in Sumy, but even though I study with remote means of studies, because today full-time study has quite another image than it was 20-30 years ago. Thank you so much. You say that you have full-time study, but with a remote schedule. We studied your schedule, and we don't say that you are supposed to attend classes, but there is a schedule of your study process, and we saw that on Monday you have lectures from 8 a.m. to 10:50, Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 14:20, Wednesday from 8 to 14:20. On Thursday, on Friday, were you present during these studies? No, I wasn't present. Did you have any individual plan of your studies? No, I don't have individual plan. But how did you pass your tests and exams? I mean, examinations and some other tests. It was not on remote base. I was present at the university during your working day. Not, it was not during the working day. Did you have any individual approach to studies? No, I didn't have individual approach to studies, but during my examinations, I was on a leave. Did you inform the chairman of the court? No. When you say that, and when you have written that you studied during night, during evening, etc., why didn't you take the remote and correspondence course? When I addressed the university, they said that they can offer me the full-time education. I said yes. Okay, so you think that your presence during the lectures, so you passed your examinations together with your group? Yes. During the working time of you as a judge? When did you have your examination period? In the end of December. Which subjects did you pass? 2 examinations were there, the enterprise strategy and taxation accountability. Thank you. No more questions.
For my voice. Yes, Mr. I have another part, different parts of question. According to the Article 1 of the Code of Judicial Ethics, the judge should set an example of strict compliance with the law and the rule of law principle. The oath of the judge, as well as of observance of high standards of conduct in order to strengthen public trust in the integrity, independence, impartiality, and fairness of the court. What should the conduct of the judge be of duty in dealing with other citizens according to this provision of the Code of Judicial Ethics? This is such a situation we learn from your kind of biography, I can say. On 9 April 2023 and 12 April 2023, you made emergency calls to the police over the 102 hotline and asked them to send an investigative team to the O'Grady pubs in Sumy. For example, your statement to law enforcement agencies dated 9 April 2023 was recorded as follows. I quote you, your words. The applicant introduced himself as a judge of the Kopkawski court and is now complaining that the staff of the O'Grady's cafe spoke rudely to the applicant. Deny him service now, do not bring orders drinks, and stated that there was a court decision on the unauthorized seizure of the land plot and then they operated without legal grounds. He requested sending an investigation team. Please comment on the above events. Those days, yes, it was in 9 and 12 April, and 2 different events. How you can explain it?
Дійсно таке.
Yes, these events took place. Passing by, riding the bicycle near this cafe, I decided to take a coffee or tea. I was rejected in a very rude manner. I wasn't initiator of the conflict, of the scandal, and I didn't try to solve any questions. It was just a banal thing. I wanted to drink a coffee or tea. I was rejected, and I don't know why. What was the reason? I addressed the hotline 002 line, but nobody served me, nobody gave me any coffee or tea. And I don't remember whether it was on the 9th of April or on 12th I remember that I, as investigating judge, I stated it was in 2018, also the arrest on this land plot. In 2018, I was passing by and I saw that by the ruling of the investigating judge, I was surprised because I didn't know that this was about this cafe. I didn't know it in 2018. Last year, when I just passed by through this cafe, I didn't have any goal. I just decided to take a coffee. I think there was rude behavior. I didn't provoke anybody. It was on the 9th of April. On the 12th of April, I decided again to go to this cafe. I thought maybe there will be another type of contact, but it was the same, and I even had some injuries. I didn't offend anybody. I don't know why it happened. As for the decision, yes, maybe I stated that they don't act on legal framework, but I don't think that I have done any harm, but I have been harmed, and till now there is no decision, as far as I remember these events.
Presentation and here your answer are not very clear, and so for the reason we would like to know if, in your opinion, can a judge call the police and feed them false information out of spite? Do your action in fact constitute a violation of the code of judicial ethics? So I think that it should be clearly answered now, because we have some doubts. And then you always permanently use the name O'Grady's Cafe, but we received information that it was O'Grady's Pub. Yes, it's a certain difference, cafe and pub. How you can explain what was your role there?
No,
Well, if it's a pub, then it's a pub. It's a beer restaurant. Maybe not a cafe, but they sell coffee there also, not just coffee. You can have breakfast there, you can have tea there. Well, I cannot quite understand what else I can say. What is the difference between the cafe and pub, you want me to say? No? By the way, you said, can the judge communicate the incorrect information? I think that, of course, the judge cannot do it, but I did not inform any false information to 101 and 2. I have never treated the employees in a biased way, and this attitude just made me furious first.
Did you indicate, being in the pub, that you were a sitting judge during the conflict situation in this pub?
я на 100% не пам'ятаю.
I cannot remember 100% sure, but yes, probably I did.
You indicated that you may have mentioned that you were a practicing judge during the conflict in the pub. Also, you don't remember exactly, it was the same said now. In your opinion, can a judge use his or her status in such conflicts?
На мою думку, не може використовувати. Я свій
In my opinion, he can't. I did not use my status in no way. I just introduced myself and told them my position.
And then
так,
you
я
did not
викликав,
wait
оскільки
for
було
the
порушення.
police.
Yes, I called police because there was a violation, but not by me, but by the employees of the pub.
Did you not wait for the police because you called and then you didn't wait?
Ну, я точно не можу.
I cannot answer this question exactly. I do not remember exactly. Perhaps I did not wait for them to arrive. But the police officers knew my phone number and they could have called me and hold investigation.
Refused to provide an explanation to the police. Why did you refuse to provide an explanation to the police? You didn't wait for them, then you refused to give explanation, so the situation seems to us very unclear.
Ну, я не пам'ятаю.
I can't remember, was it on the 9th or on the 12th? On one of these dates, I did provide explanation.
So, to this question.
Дозволите? Дякую.
May I? Thank you. Ihor Gennadievich, I would like to remind you that we are asking the questions we're asking the questions right now on those questions that we already forwarded to you, and you provided answers in the written form. So perhaps you can remember and to give more exhaustive answers to these questions of the members of the advisory group of experts. And I would like to remind you one more question that was asked to you. I would like you to explain the illogical explanations in the written form. As of 2015 until 2023, you do not declare any monetary assets in your possession. At the same time, in 2020, you find 1,200,000 in hryvnias to buy apartment for your mother. Could you explain this?
Ні в 2020 році, а
It was a bit incorrect information, not in 2020, but this apartment was procured on the other conditions and the purchase was the payments were done in installments, monthly installments, given the salary that I was receiving, and also I received the pension of my mother. Could you please explain? You bought the apartment for your mother, right? Using your own funds? Yes, using my own funds and partly funds of my mother. Did you declare these expenses in the declaration, that these were your expenses? No, I didn't. Explain why didn't you? Because there was no such necessity, since the amount of monthly payment did not exceed 50 subsistence minimums. Do you remember the amount you paid every month? Well, approximately, if it's 600,000 per year, it's 60,000 hryvnias a month. I see. We understand your position on this question. I heard your answer, dear Mr. Chair.
And you know, we have exactly very difficult question. But now I think that it's time when Alisara should say something, yes? Because we are here in this situation, question 4, in my opinion. Yes, we are in question 4.
Ми б хотіли задати питання, яке має сенс.
We would like to ask the question that is of sensitive nature, so if you don't mind, let's stop streaming. Dear colleagues, since we have the war in Ukraine, and in view of the Russian Federation's ongoing war against Ukraine and risk to the security of the candidates' close relatives, streaming will be restricted during the discussion of a number of the following issues. And after we discuss them, we will go back to the streaming. So please.
Mr. Ihor Gennadovich, I would like to ask you to return to the questions that have already been addressed to some extent, but to avoid some doubts that we're talking about and controversies, I would like to return to the situation with the O'Grady's pub. You came to a pub. You didn't like the service of the staff. You called the police. We didn't wait the police by some reasons, and in a couple of days you returned to the same pub. What induced you after the primary situation when there was rude attitudes toward you? What induced you to return to this pub again? To find out why there was such an attitude towards me. To find out with whom? With the staff? So you called the police, you didn't wait till the police arrivals, you didn't find out what are the conditions and what are the consequences, but in a couple of days you again return to the staff of the cafe, of the pub, and you talk to them as a current judge. So you said that you presented yourself as current judge. Can you explain yourself, please? In general, I went there not as a current judge, but as a consumer of services. I would like to find out why the services are not provided. Have you found out it? No. In the previous answers, when we asked you about your studies, we found out that you didn't take leave for the examination periods. Whether you made it officially, so whether you have taken this leave officially. The leave, I mean, this is an ordinary leave, because you understand I have some days off and I can take them, so I took them during the examination period. Can you explain it? You said there was 2 examinations and 5 tests. How many days off did you take? I don't remember precisely. And how many days off did you have? Did you take the whole week? No. I didn't take them in a row, the days off. Okay, it's clear. Thank you. I have received your answer. Dear colleagues, are there any other questions for the candidate? If you permit, I have a question. We found out that you have obtained service apartments that you do not use because you say it is not compatible with living conditions. It's 12 meters of residential place and 30 meters of general place. Moreover, you bought an apartment on behalf of your mother, and you don't live there because it's not compatible with living conditions. It needs repair works. You live in a rented place. So I have a question. Whether it flashed across your mind, maybe you could return your service apartment and make it possible for the Council of Sumy to give this place to people who urgently need it. No, it didn't flash across my mind because I also need place to live. Sumy is not a big city, but there are a lot of issues with housing. Thank you so much. And Ms. O'Connor has a question to you.
Could you
Добре.
reflect then on your actions with O'Grady's Pub and tell me what time of day this occurred? On the 9th and the 12th.
It seems it was evening. I don't remember precisely. In the evening. It happened in the evening.
Riding your bicycle, my understanding
Ой,
correctly?
вибачте.
I'm sorry, you were riding your bicycle to the pub on both occasions?
Ні, ні.
No, just in the first case. On the 9th of April, I was riding my bike and I was passing by the cafe.
Automobile?
Ні, в мене нема.
No, I don't have a car. In an automobile, I was passing by on foot.
And where had you been before you went to the pub on both occasions?
So, in the second occasion, I was going from the work, and on the first time, it was a day off, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, and I'm curious as to why you then filed a statement asking that no inspection be performed in connection with your call, which is contrary to the reason for your call initially. So why did you then ask in a statement for no inspection, no follow-up?
So, there was no what?
Чого не...
Розслідування вашого.
There was no investigation. Like, after you filed a statement, there was no investigation. Investigation. You know, I don't know how it ended generally, this inspection or check. There is no ruling on closure of the proceeding, so I don't know how this statement ended, what was there.
Excuse me, sir. Our information is that you filed a statement on April 13th, 2023, asking that no inspection be performed in connection with your call the previous day.
Я не знаю результат.
I don't know the results. If there was a criminal procedure or a vetting or a check, I don't know what are the results. I don't know.
Posit that there was no result because you asked that no investigation be done, so they closed the case.
Можливо, і так, але я не бачу.
Maybe yes, but I didn't see the ruling on the closure of the proceeding if it had been opened, generally. So I didn't see any finalized document to understand what was there in it.
Шановні колеги, чи є ще запитання до кандидата? Будь ласка, Марek Зубік.
Sir, may you explain us why you decided to run for position of the Judge of Constitutional Court?
At first, there was a selection procedure in 2022. It was announced. But the case is that, as far as I think, I have a profile PhD thesis in this regard. And another incentive for me was the fact that in 2013 I addressed Constitutional Court. Before it, there was detailed study of the procedure. I was aware with different decisions of Constitutional Court. It all happened when I was judge of the Krasnoludsky Municipal City Court in Luhansk region. And all these facts inspired me to participate in the selection procedure for CCU.
Пане Бичков, в своїх поясненнях
Mr. Bychkov, in your explanation, you said that you are part of two different contests in the same time. So as the judge of CCU, and you applied for the appeal court. Can you please explain what is your priority and why is there such an ambivalence and why you participate in two selection procedures in the same time? So now I'm taking part only in one procedure. For the other one, I have just presented the my candidacy to the second one, and on the 4th of March there will be the decision whether I'm admitted or not admitted to the selection procedure for the appeal court. It will be the 5th Congress meeting. I think there is no ambivalence because I submitted my candidacy in 2019. I think that I have occupied position for quite a long time. I have obtained significant experience. I have been working on the position of judge more than 17 years. And I have already presented my documents for the judge of appeal court in past, but there was no positive decision. After it, I know that high qualification council of judge was not at service, and then when I saw this selection procedure, I presented and submitted my documents. I don't see that there is any ambivalence. So what's your priority, I would like to ask you? How do you see yourself, as judge of appeal court or as judge of constitutional court? It's very difficult. So just let's model the situation. You won both selection procedures. What will be your decision? What you will choose? I think for me, frankly speaking, it's appeal court. Okay, thank you, it's clear. Dear colleagues, do you have any other questions for the candidate?
Ask a question.
Так, будь ласка,
I would like to
Yes, please.
I would like to ask the candidate a question which relates to the incident in the Obredis pub. Namely, you called the police, you provided the police with a false information. Then the day after you asked not to react based on your call. Do you consider these actions as being compliant with the Code of Judicial Ethics? Are you aware of the rules of the code, how a judge should behave, not just when he's performing his duties in court, but also in his private life? Please answer this question.
I don't think that I presented the false information. Judges should be examples in their conduct and behavior. Maybe some requirements I have violated, but there was no administrative offense from my side. There were no pretensions to myself. I said that I have been injured. I don't think that I induced harm to somebody's dignity. So if I had been served appropriately, I would just go ahead, and that's it.
Don't you consider that you made harm to the dignity of judicial office as such in the perception of the eyes of a reasonable outside observer?
Ні, я ще раз повторюю, я
No, I don't think that I violated anything.
Ще запитання в пані О'Коннор.
Another question from Ms. O'Connor.
I have a follow-up question, sir. Have you ever been treated rudely prior to the O'Grady pub incident?
I think no.
Time in all your years as an adult that you were treated rudely in any capacity?
ні, не вперше.
No, it's not the first time.
Occasions when you were treated rudely, did you call the police?
I can't tell you exactly.
You called the police on someone or an institution?
В цьому випадку я викликав.
Yes, in this case, I called police because there was a rude treatment.
Question is, in the past, have you called the police or any other authority if someone or some institution had been rude to you?
Можливо, викликав.
Maybe I did, I can't remember for sure.
Can't remember, can you tell us what the outcome would have been? Was there a police report?
I can't tell you exactly. I don't want to lie to you, but I do not remember.
Колеги, чи є ще запитання?
Dear colleagues, any more questions? Okay, Mr. Griffith.
Thank you. Do you understand why the members of this group are concerned about the allegation that at O'Grady's pub that you announced that you were a judge? Do you understand why we're concerned about, why some of us are concerned about that?
Так, розумію.
Yes, I understand.
Why do you think we're concerned about that?
As far as I understand, in your opinion, this was a negative behavior from my side.
What do you think we think was negative about it? I want to make certain you understand, and I'm not certain that you do, so that's why I'm following up. What do you think was negative? Why do you think we're concerned that you announced to people that you were a judge?
Because probably you think that this was not an integral behavior by my side.
Was it appropriate for you to tell people in this situation that you were a judge? What did that have to do with the situation at all?
I would like to emphasize and repeat myself that I was responsible for the arrest, seizure of these premises, and the activity that was held by Pub Agredis, it disagreed with the current legislation, was not in line with the current legislation. That's why I mentioned this case, and I said that so they don't serve me, and they are also carrying out the illegal business. So I am convinced that they're still doing the illegal activity there. That's why.
Understand that some of us are concerned that it looks like you were threatening people by your position that you were saying to people, I'm a judge, be careful how you treat me. Do you understand that that would be a concern?
Розумію.
Yes, I understand.
And if that's what was happened, that would be inappropriate for a judge to do, would it not?
Yes, it's not good to threaten, but I wasn't threatening.
Шановні колеги, час
Dear colleagues, the time that we had to do the interview with the candidate is almost out. Are there any other questions for the candidate? If there are no more questions, then Ihor Nadyevich, you have a chance to give your concluding remarks. And I would like to remind you that it should not exceed 5 minutes. And after that, we'll be able to finish the interview. I see. Thank you so much. I'm very happy that you listened to me, but I am convinced as a lawyer that the assessment of the level of high moral values is done in one way. It's a one-sided approach because nobody paid attention that as of 2010 I'm an IDP, and I think that this can speak about the high standards of my behavior because everybody knows that many judges, they stayed on that territory. And I was brave enough and I came here. And what I have gone through, of course, you wouldn't wish that to anyone else. Secondly, in my answers, I have noted that nobody paid attention that I was the donor. And every month I, give blood for the wounded combatants of the armed forces of Ukraine, free of charge. And as a beginning, when the war began, I started helping the army, but it's not paid attention to. Only the data that discredit me or compromise me are addressed. I did not hear any positive questions. Nobody asks me, how are you, how you live? Well, I hope that things will be good anyway. So I don't think that you can only have the negative picture of me. I just want you to understand that I am a patriot and I am trying to do everything I can to make our state for our state to gain victory in this war. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Ihor Nadyevich. But I also have to tell you that you have a wrongful idea on our approach because we have the entire picture of you as a candidate and we know a lot of positive moments. But the aim of this interview was to disassemble those doubts on your high moral standards on which we did doubt. That's why we gave you a chance to debunk these doubts. And as for your positive sides, we will take it into consideration once we make our decision, for sure. So, dear colleagues, we would like to thank the candidate, Mr. Bychkov, for his answers. And the interview with Bychkov Ihor Nadyevich is over. But before we stop streaming, I want to give a remark. I would like to additionally inform that next interview that we planned with Blazhivska Oksana Yevgenievna, candidate, on her information, the information she provided has been postponed because of her disease for the 7th of March. And as per the methodology that we have approved, if the person doesn't attend the interview, this does not preclude for our group to have an assessment done and to identify if the candidate is in line with the criterion of the high moral standards of defining the level of competence in the sphere of law. So, Ihor Nadyevich, thank you. Goodbye. and we will take a short break for the consultation, for the submission.